uh, Jaquavion Jackson. Would you like to
Uh,
introduce yourself as well?
Yeah, hi, that's me. I came from another Toastmasters meeting like about a week ago, or maybe like 3 days ago. But it got interrupted, so they had to end the meeting. So then I just came to this one, and I'm very excited for this one now.
All right. Well, I'm glad to have you. Did I say your name right?
You could call me JJ if you like.
JJ?
Yeah,
Okay,
JJ.
that works. I go by JP, so it
Oh,
works.
okay.
I see just going down the line, Joe Lopez. Are you on here as well? Is Joe Lopez on? Well, I'm not hearing anything. And I saw Rob talking to Ray Reddick. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hello?
Sorry.
Oh, Joe
Hello.
Lopez.
Hello?
I am Theoretic.
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, I'm from Uptown Voices. I'm the president of that club. Happy to be here once again. And hopefully on next week we can try and do this on our own.
What's up?
Oh, wait, are you Joe Lopez?
I'm Joe Lopez,
No,
yes.
Okay. Would you like to briefly introduce yourself as well? And like, how did you hear about this club?
Um, guys, I'm sorry, I'm really nervous. My name is Joe Lopez. I heard about this this event on Eventbrite. I saw the tickets and it was free and I just wanted to register and I got ready. I've been waiting for about hello David. I've been waiting for about like 3 to 4 hours and so, and I'm just prepared. I'm ready. I actually have my folder with some notes inside, so I am prepared.
That's great. That's great.
Yeah.
All right.
So,
Then,
thank you, Rob.
and now I see our area director, actually, Valerie Gray. It's nice to see you again this virtual meeting. So, would you like to
Hello,
briefly introduce yourself?
everyone. It's good to see everyone on tonight. I hope that this meeting is very, very, very good and that you get something out of it. I'm glad to see this club also always meeting and always inviting people to join. So I'd just like to say welcome to everyone. Please enjoy the meeting. If you have any questions or anything of the area director, please just send me an email or you can send me a text. Thank you.
Okay. So then, with that being out of the way, I'd like to have Andrew turn it over to our general evaluator for the night.
Before we do that, I have an announcement to make.
Okay.
Welcome everybody. From here on out, after this meeting, there have been some security concerns with the use of Zoom. My understanding is a lot of people are starting to sway away from Zoom because it was vulnerable to, shall we say, foreign attacks. So during the course of our meeting, if someone joins and tries to upload a file in the meeting, do not accept it. We will only be conversating, and somebody might share screen if they have a PowerPoint presentation. Beyond that, do not accept any outside files. All future meetings will be protected by password, and you will receive the password the night before the meeting in the email that will go out to the club and will be forwarded by our membership person. That's all I have. And I will now turn the meeting over to our Toastmaster of the evening, Madam Donna James.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for coming out. The theme of tonight's session will be called Riddle Me This. And so what I want to do is I'm going to give you a riddle of a name. I want you to think about it, and if whoever can give me the answer I'm only going to applaud you. No gifts will be given, but you will be applauded. So riddle me this. You have a child and you name the child KMNOP. How would you pronounce that baby's name? Now I want you all to brew over that riddle me this question. And so what I want to do before we proceed is to let you know that this session will be divided into 3 parts. It will be speeches, table topics, and evaluation. So what I would like to do first and foremost is I would like to bring on up here our general evaluator who will introduce the different positions within Toastmasters, and they will tell what their functions are. And that person is Tammy Adama.
Thank you, Donna. So as general evaluator, I will be evaluating the meeting from beginning to end. And to assist me tonight, I have some wonderful people who will be assisting me in the helper roles. So the first one will be our grammarian, who is Josh Brito. Josh, can you give us a description of your role?
Good night, everyone. How y'all doing? I'm Josh Burton. I'm y'all grammarian. Tonight I'll just be listening to everything y'all have to say. Make sure that the pronunciations of everything y'all say come out correctly. And I'm also told that I'm the counter, so whatever odds y'all say, I'll be counting them down tonight.
Wonderful. And then for Wordmaster Listen Up, we have Cleo Robertson. Cleo.
Good evening, everyone. I'm going to read from the description from the agenda. The Wordmaster introduces a word of the evening, challenging the members to speak throughout the meeting to use the word during their presentations. The word of the evening is persevere. It is a verb. To persist in anything undertaken, maintain a purpose in spite of difficulty, obstacles, or discouragement, continue steadfastly, to persist in speech, interrogation, argument, etc., insist. And the sentence that I chose is, I hope that everyone can persevere during this COVID-19 crisis. Persevere. I'm also the listen up person, so that means that I'm going to be refining, well, it says the listen up role provides the opportunities to refine listening skills by choosing random phrases throughout the meeting and using them at the end of the meeting to match the phrase with the speaker. And then I'll be called upon to do that role by the general evaluator towards the end of the meeting, I suppose, correct?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Cleo. Lee Walker will be our timer. Lee?
Okay. For speeches, 2 of our speeches are 5 to 7 minutes, so I'll have the green card at 5 minutes, yellow card at 6 minutes, and red card at 7 minutes, and remain up till the speaker's finished. Hans' speech is, what is it? 18 to 22 minutes, so 18 minutes green, 20 minutes yellow card, and 22 minutes red card. Table topics is 1 minute green, 1.5 minutes yellow card, and 2 minutes red card. Evaluations is 2 minutes green card, 2.5 minutes yellow card, and 3 minutes red card. Madam General Evaluator.
Thank you, Lee. Now I'm going to turn over the meeting to David Marshall, who will be giving us an educational segment. Let's see.
Let's go, David.
Thank you, David.
Good evening. Am I screen sharing here? Can I screen share?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, I'm going to screen share. So how many of us are getting into pathways? Can everyone see my screen?
It's sharing now. Give it a moment. There you go.
Okay.
All right. Pathways. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go really quick and show everyone how to get from signing into Basecamp to completing an assignment in Pathways. It's just a quick overview so that everyone kind of gets the gist. My screen looks different because I guess I'm a Basecamp manager. So if you go to yours, will just go directly to get Basecamp, and your screen will look something like this when it comes up, I believe. Okay. For me, I'm motivational strategies, and tonight I am working on mentorship. So once you go into your path, this is what your path will look like. I'm on level 2, and I'm working on right now Introduction to Toastmasters Mentoring. Is everyone following along? Am I going too fast? Good. Thumbs up. Thumbs up. Yay. Okay. So once you click launch, it will go right into your assignment. When you first start your assignment, since I've already done this, it might go to where I left off, which is the exit assessment. And when you first start your any path, when you first start your assignment, you're going to go into an entrance assessment, where you're going to basically you're going to gauge where you start. Oh, here we go. Yep. So I set that up. Look at that. Here's it starts with the introduction. You see this right here, this right arrow to start your assessment. You're going to go right through your assignment. It's going to talk about your purpose and your overview. It's going to tell you exactly what you're going to do in this assignment. You have a project checklist here that you can click on to open a PDF. And as you progress, here's your skills before assessment. Be honest with yourself on where you're at here so that you can gauge properly. To go through your assessment, you would click the next button here. You would go all through all 5 questions and answer honestly. Then you'll just kind of click through your assignment and learn about this one is particularly mentorship and coaching. So you'll go through several different slides that are teaching you about mentorship and coaching, and there's different interactive ways that they teach here. How mentoring benefits mentors. And you just gotta go through your assessment, your assignment, and learn about mentorship. I'm just kind of clicking through here. Am I going too fast? Everyone kind of see how this is going? All right. So that's pretty much it. You just kind of go through your assignment and just keep going through all the way to the end. Once you get to the end, you will have an exit assess. So here's your assignment. You go through your project checklist, review, and go and review, organize, schedule, and prepare. This is where you're going to prepare and write your speech. So you go through your project checklist. And then here's your evaluation. You have evaluation resource where you can click on that and it will open your evaluation. So once you're doing your speech, you would give this form to your evaluator, whoever is evaluating you. You can go ahead and type your name in here. I guess you got to save the PDF, but so you would type your name in, date, all that, fill that out. Once you do your speech and you get your evaluation, you'll come back to Pathways, and you'll see where you're at now after you're done with your assignment. And be honest with this also, so that you can track your progress. And then once you're done, congratulations, all done. That's pretty much a good overview of all your Pathways assignments And I just wanted to go over that with everyone, just so you have a good idea of how to get in there. I guess we'll take questions at the end. Please jot them down. I will pass meeting back over to our Toastmaster of the evening, Madam Dottam James. I gotta stop sharing my screen here.
Okay, thanks. All right, now what I would like to do at this moment is to begin the speaker portion of this meeting today, starting with speaker number 1. That will be Ms. Melba Puerto. She will be doing a Pathways Team Collaboration L1, Researching and Presenting. The title of the speech is called The Do's and Do Nots of Cycling. Melba Puerto is a woman who is exhilarating, jovial, and loves the outdoors. However, she has recently tapped into the forces, particularly physics. Please welcome to the lectern, the virtual lectern, the bicycle ballerina.
Well, thank you so much for that introduction, Ms. Donna James. It's a pleasure to be here over video chat with all of you guys. Welcome, Joe and Jay. It's nice to have you guys inside of our meeting tonight as newcomers.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. It is.
Appreciate the welcoming.
Awesome.
It's nice.
Yeah. So, I considered the bicycling ballerina as of a recent experience that I have gone through. That was pretty, not a success story, but I will share it with you guys later. So first off, to get this on the road, what do you guys think personally of yourself about cycling or like riding on a bicycle? How do you guys see that? I would like to know everybody's thoughts on cycling before I dive into this.
I like it a lot.
How?
I don't do it nearly as much as I should.
I was planning on buying a bike.
I agree with David. I ride my bike all the time with my friends, and I see a bunch of stuff.
It's good with exercise. I do it. Exercise.
You know, I think it's awesome. Just you got to be careful when you're doing it.
I've considered buying several bikes, mountain and otherwise.
Rob.
Well, me personally, I have a
fixie,
so it goes pretty fast down the road.
Well, I've been riding a bike since I was 3 years old, so I think it's okay.
Very good. Huh? So I loved hearing all of you guys' thoughts on cycling. And basically what I want to do for my research and presenting project, I myself can relate with you guys. I rode my bike every day when it came to going to my job. That was my form of transportation. And, I never thought that cycling could take a turn of events, and it did. But before I get into that, here goes. Here's some history on cycling. According to Britannica, an article on Britannica, you guys can find this in Britannica.com, some history about cycling. Cycling is the use of a bicycle for sports, recreation, and transportation. And it also has many alternative terms such as biking, bicycle racing, or bicycling. The sport consists of amateur professional races, and the sport of cycling began very intriguingly to my defense. The sport began officially on May 31st, 1868. And the first city-to-city race was in France, between two very famous cities in France. It was in Paris and Rouen. And although that happened in so many places, there was a young kid by the name of Charles James, I think his name was. And he happened to win that race when that took place down there. I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. But cycling goes much far beyond. Apart from races, bicycles are a mode of transportation, and it's particularly important in non-Western nations, in places such as the Netherlands, which have a widespread system of bicycle paths. That was interesting to me. I've never been to the Netherlands. The closest of anything that I've ever come to of like marshy or like Netherland kind of scenery to me is like Louisiana, because I've traveled before. Now I would like to share with you guys how cycling has came to be brought to us from being originated and started in such like a long time ago in 1868. That's a long time ago. But it has had a long journey in how it came to us. Wikipedia states that from that foundation, the Amateur Bicycle League of America was organized in the 1920s, even further, and was incorporated in the grand state of New York in the year 1921. But over time, the name was changed from the Amateur Bicycling League. It was changed to the United States Cycling Federation. And the federation was incorporated in 1995 in Colorado. Addition to that research, I wanted to find out more because it intrigued me so much. But those two corporations were merged on July 1st, 1995, which brought the U.S., our state, cycling the umbrella corporation for all things cycling. Isn't that intriguing? I was like, that is so cool. To only to find out that bikes have so much more to offer than just racing. And now that corporation today, the USA Cycling's new headquarters now consists of a 26,000 square foot building on nearly 2 acres of land near the Interstate 25 of the northwest side of Colorado Springs. So bicycling is everywhere, and it has come a long way. But apart from finding out like how cycling plays into our lives, that's not what we're truly here for. I'm here to give you guys the do's and don'ts of cycling, because that's what I'm here for, and to share a bunch of other things. So according to another article that I found online, it was on active.com. It lists a bunch of do's and don'ts, and I pulled from those what I wanted to pull from it, because I was like, oh, some of these are not really necessary. But the first one that really stuck out was to do, first and foremost, wear a helmet. We must be safe. We cannot take our lives in jeopardy and in vain and think that just riding for fun is going to be okay. You could seriously get hurt. So do wear a helmet, people, when you go on your bikes. Do not think that just riding is just riding, because safety is important and cycling is not just for fun. You would also want to pick a safe bike route away from busy roads. That's one of the do's. Do not ride wildly about in the street. Again, putting your life in a jeopardizing state is not fun. If you think that being inside of a car accident or being hurt is bad, getting hurt on a bike is just as worse. Or so I would imagine. Do treat every time you go riding on a bicycle like a training ride. Take it as if it's your first time riding a bike again, for they say that with practice comes perfection. And do not feel that just because you are riding, even if it's to your job, that it's a big deal, because riding on the roads where cars are at is always dangerous. Now, I have shared with you guys some do's and don'ts, and I took a lot from this myself. This wasn't only just for like me to see that, I must apply some of these things to my life. Like, apart from like learning and taking what I learned from it. But I took a lot from it. I was like, oh, researching this is probably going to be something that's going to be hard for me to place myself in and really share like how I want to get my message across. But as stated in my mini bio, I am now known as the bicycle ballerina. And it so appears that way that early this Thursday, I was driving on my way on my bicycle. I was cycling on my way to work. Now, as I mentioned before, I go every day on my bike to work. And I was like, oh, this is going to be like any other ordinary day. I'm going to go to work and everything's going to be fine. Traveling on my bike, leaving my house, I got ready and I got on my bike. I'm not going to let that distract me. I got on my bike and I was like, okay, let's go. I said bye. I did my daily routine and I said bye to my mom. I mounted my bike and I left my neighborhood. Very interestingly, I did not have a helmet on, which I probably should have done. But I did have a cap on, so my head was covered. Leaving the neighborhood, as I got one neighborhood over, I did have my purse on me, and it happened to slide down my arm. And you know when a movie or somebody tells you see your life flash in the blink of an eye, just like a split of a second? That's what happened to me. My purse slid down my arm and it jolted and it got stuck in the front wheel. And I did not even realize what had happened. But my bike jolted forward, catapulting my body over the handlebars. When I was able to collect what had happened, all I know was that my leg was jammed in the steering wheel, like in the handlebar and the wheel, and I was immobilized. I had no idea what was going on. I was frantic. That's not funny. I was mobilized and I was frantic and I did not know what to do. But I thought, I'm only one neighborhood over from my house. I'm going to call my family. I called my mom. She didn't answer. I called my brother. Thank God he had his phone on him and he was able to pick up. Once I told my family there was recurring events, the situation, the circumstantial standpoint from where I was at, they came running from the house to where I was at. And my brother, he called 911. He called an ambulance for he saw that his sister was in pain. Now, I didn't know how severe my injuries were, but I had gashed my elbow open. Just take a vivid moment to try and imagine what that looks like. It was awful. In result, I had to get 5 stitches in my elbow. So I know that the world has a lot to offer, but nature has a way of making its amends and its terminations with people too. And it had its turn with me. Now, I love riding on bikes, but I don't know exactly when I would want to mount another bike. But to close off my story, there is something that I was told, a quote that I got. I just want you all to remember that anything we do or that should be done, we must do it with caution so that it doesn't backfire on us. And that's my story. I'm recovering great. I'm healing quickly.
Good job, Melba. Good job.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful speech. Now, I know we've all raised our hands when we talked about bicycling, and this, with the whole COVID-19, the one thing that we're allowed to do is to get out and exercise. This is a great time to apply what the do's and don'ts are to exercising. Get on a bike, get out into nature, and just enjoy the scenery and not have your mind constantly weighed down of what's happening with this virus. So wonderful speech, Melba. Wonderful speech. Can we get the timer to set the clock to 1 minute, please? For those that will be doing evaluations, you do have the ability within Zoom to send your evaluations directly to the speaker, to Melba. If you're not used to Zoom, if you take your mouse over to the video of Melba, you will see an ellipsis pop up in blue in the right corner. If you click on that ellipsis, you can see the word chat. Select chat. A box will open to the right that says Zoom group chat. And if you look all the way down at the bottom, there will be a drop down with her name. Any message that you send to Melba will go directly to Melba.
All right, 1 minute.
We got the 1 minute signal. And also, let's find some time to give some applause to Melba. She has achieved her L1 in Pathways.
No, but that was very touching. I enjoyed that story. Not in a, but like, it reminded me of my bike ride story. It's a long one.
Yeah, it was a scary moment for me, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, I could imagine.
I'm out of work. Yeah, being out of work for 2 weeks is not fun.
Okay, what I want to do now is let's move on to speaker number 2. Speaker number 2 is Mr. David Anthony Marshall. His speech will be a Pathways Motivational Strategies L2 Introduction to Toastmasters Mentoring. The title of his speech is called The Turning Point, and David is from the South Bronx in New York City. He has an amazing wife and 2 beautiful daughters, a little boy and another little one due in July. He loves dark chocolate, and we're not talking about women, and
No.
80s music. David will be talking to us about the importance of mentorship and how it helped shape who he is today. This is the last assignment of L2 in motivational strategies for Mr. David Anthony Marshall. Let's all applaud as he comes up to the virtual lectern.
Can everyone hear me well? No static? Good? Thumbs up? Awesome. Oh, yeah. I've been doing my own thing. Love has always had a way of having bad timing. But to my great surprise, ever since I looked in your eyes, I had one question for you. Tell me if you want me to give you all my time. I wanna make it good for you. 'Cause you blow my mind. I promise, girl, that I'll be true. You're the perfect find, so tell me if you want me to. That is Tell Me by Groove Theory. Tell Me by Groove Theory. There was a 14-year-old boy, every time he woke up in the morning, that was the song on the radio. Tell Me by Groove Theory. That was the song on the radio. This boy woke up, 14-year-old boy had to wake up 5 o'clock in the morning. He had to brush his teeth, get ready for school, and he had to be on that number 15 bus by 5:40. Rain, sleet, snow, icy conditions, rain, doesn't matter. If he didn't make that bus by 5:40, he would miss his next bus around 6:40, and then he'd be late for school. He had to be at school by 7:30 on the dot. 7:30 in the morning, this 14-year-old boy, that's when his day started, for math class at 7:30. And he ran academic classes from 7:30 to 11:30, and he had to pack all of his credits into those hours. At 11:30, he had a lunch period, but he could never sit down and have lunch. He had to actually take his lunch on the go because he had to get back on the bus onto his 6 train and get down to 96th Street to take his heating, ventilation, air conditioning class. He had to be there by 1 o'clock. And he was in that class from 1 to 3 o'clock, home by 3:30, homework till 7 or 8 o'clock at night so he could shower, go to bed, and do it all the next day. Why would a 14-year-old boy go through all of this for 2 years? Willingness. He was willing. He was willing to go for something that was bigger than himself. But it wasn't only him that was involved. There was a guidance counselor that was willing also. See, this school was brand new. And this 14-year-old boy, he was part of a pilot program where he split his school, and he was trusted to travel through New York City to take his heating, ventilation, and heating class. He was trusted. Now, I want to talk to you about mentorship, because the person that trusted him was his mentor and his coach. See, what a mentor does, and they will sit with you and find what your dreams, what's your goals. They're going to find out what you want out of life. Their job is to find the greatness that is in you that you might not see. That's their job as a mentor, to help you realize your vision, to find your hidden ability, and to help draw that out. But she was also my coach, because what a coach does, a coach sets boundaries. A coach holds you accountable to those boundaries. My boundaries were, you must be on time for that 7:30 class. You must have your homework done. You must keep your grades well. And when you travel through the city, you must represent the school well. That's what a coach does, holds you accountable. What are the results of that pressure? Well, for me, that was me. Went to school half a day and traveled through the city through the other half. Why? Because there was a guidance counselor at my high school that saw something within me that I did not see in myself. It took me 20 years to see that. What that guidance counselor saw within me took 20 years. Now, I understand what I was doing at the time, but I didn't really get the grasp until recently of how much she trusted me. And that's what a mentor does. A mentor pulls the best out of you. Having a mentor was a true blessing. It was a definite turning point in my life. And if it wasn't for that willingness and that trust when I was 14, 15 years old, I wouldn't be where I am now. Right now, I have multiple Coast Guard licenses as an engineer. I'm project management professional certified. I have a beautiful wife and amazing kids. I have a black lab named Lady. I'm blessed with a nice home and a job that I love. But most of all, I get to be Vice President Education, New Beginnings Toastmasters. This is not something that I would have thought at all that I could do, but I am honored to do that. And it's all because of a guidance counselor that saw something within me that I didn't see in myself. That's what mentorship is about. So because I trusted the process, I didn't know what was going on exactly, but I trusted the process. Because when you're a mentor, you have to trust the process. Your mentor is going to say things that you don't necessarily want to hear, but their goal is to bring out the best in you. Sometimes it hurts. Sometimes it's not going to feel nice. But if you trust the process and you trust it with faith, there's something that will happen within you when you least expect it. So now I wake up to, today is my day. No one will get in the way of my dreams, of my growth, or my desire to be the very best in my chosen field. Yes, I said the best. No one will take that mantle away from me. Mentorship is amazing, and I encourage everyone, find a good mentor and trust the process. Madam Toastmaster, thank you.
Great job, David. Great
Wow,
job.
that was
Good
amazing.
job, David. You always do a good job,
Great
David.
job.
Very good.
Leadership is so important because there is always someone that is in need of having someone uplift them, guide them, lead them, give them suggestions on how to grow and improve themselves. I think we all should be at a place where we want to be a mentor to someone else, especially our children, because a lot of them may not have someone who has quality leadership that they can look to. Now, timer, can you please set the time to 1 minute? And again, your evaluations towards David, you can privately do that within the Zoom chat. Okay, we have arrived at 1 minute. Fingers off keyboards, please. Now, what I would like to do is congratulate David. He has reached his L2. Let's give him an applause. Come on, give him a hand five, high five, a shake, a shimmy. Okay, now what I want to do is I want to now move to the third speaker of this evening. His name is Hans Peter Yohidle. He is speaking from Pathways Visionary Communication. Prepare to speak professionally. The title of his speech is Leadership in Extreme Circumstances. Are you Amundsen or Scott? Introduction. Our next speaker of the evening is Hans Peter Yohidle, and in this evening's talk, Hans will present a talk about leadership, what it is, what it is not. To illustrate the differences, he will use the race to the South Pole during the beginning of the 20th century, a race where one man, Amundsen, and his team survived while the other team led by Scott perished. Please help me welcome Hans Peter Yohidle.
Good evening, Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and honored guests. We live in interesting times. Who would have thought that we would have been meeting in cyberspace just a couple of months ago? We've been working from home like I do, and I've been doing for the last 3.5, almost 4 weeks. We need leadership more than anything in these troubled times. But what is leadership? And more importantly, what is it not? Is it something you do part of the time, or is it something you do all the time? What are the hallmarks of great leadership? Out in cyberspace, can somebody please describe me your idea of what leadership is? How do I share and get them the key?
If you look on the bottom of the screen, you just hit share screen.
Okay. Oh, well. Oh, come on.
RC is your desktop right now. You should have been able to choose the window when you hit share screen.
Okay.
All right. If you look at the top, you can see your. Oh, I can control it.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Go ahead.
All right. So try that again, and you should be able to select the window that you want to share.
Mr. Porta, he was okay. We'll figure that out in a later thing. But what do you do as a leader need to provide to your organization? According to Great by Choice, which is a book that is written by Jim Collins and Morton Hansen, there are 7 things that you need to provide to your organization. Clear performance markers, self-imposed constraints, appropriate to the enterprise. In other words, what are you doing? Within your control, a proper timeline, which not too long, not too short, designed and self-imposed by the enterprise or even by you, and achieved by high consistency. With those 7 steps in mind, let's look at Amundsen and Scott. First of all, who are Amundsen and Scott? I know that the individuals from Virginia Beach Toastmasters, at least some of them know who he is, just simply because I did a presentation. But does anybody else know who those 2 individuals were? Give me a thumbs up. Mr. Lopez does. Amundsen and Scott were 2 polar explorers. And in 1895, there was a geographical congress that was held in London of all the national geographical societies of the world. And they came up and they said the biggest prize to be claimed was the individual who would first make it to the South Pole. It started a flurry of expeditions that went down there, everybody from the Swedes to Australians and the Brits. And Scott had actually made a previous attempt in 1902. In 1907, Ernest Shackleton, a famous polar explorer, tried it, and he ended up 96 miles away from the pole. And then in 1911, both Scott and Amundsen went down there and made a try for it. To underline who these individuals were and what their impact is at their particular point in time is that though they were the rock star of those ages, they were enormous figures in the public. But if you look at them, they are pretty similar. Amundsen was 39, Scott was 43. They both had polar experience. As I said, Scott had tried previously and failed. Amundsen was the first individual that went through the Northwest Passage between the polar region and Canada. But if you start looking at it, you're looking at and you see that one of them was a meticulous planner, a careful leader, versus Scott, who was more an overseer. While they were wintering over in 1910 into 1911, Scott and his team lectured to each other and rested while Amundsen's team worked for 8 hours a day, every day, except for Sundays, to perfect their gear. And this results pretty much spoke for itself. They both used the same type sleds. However, Amundsen's sled weighed 2/3 less without any loss of strength in the members of the sled. That his tent only used 1 pole versus the 5 poles that Scott used in his tent. Amundsen's supply boxes were latched to the sleds, while Scott's had to be downloaded and uploaded every day, which required both strength and time that could be used to march towards your goal. One embraced the task while the other did not. Before marching one step, Amundsen was way ahead. So how do you travel 1,400 miles into the unknown? How would you set out to walk from, say, San Diego to Maine? You can do what Amundsen did, which is basically walk 20 miles a day, rain or shine, making sure you do get in your daily exercise. Or you can do the Scott method, which is march 50 miles one day and then stay in a tent if it was too hot or too cold or whatever else. Amundsen also rested his team. He only skied about 5 to 6 hours a day. He thought that resting his team, spending upwards of 16 hours a day in this tent, in his sleeping bags, was good for the team. Scott, on the other hand, used 10-hour marches, and when the weather was nice and he was feeling good, and he drove his team into exhaustion. Why do you need to rest your team? When things go wrong, as they always will, Amundsen discipline made sure that his team had the capacity to respond. Let's draw another parallel today. When the dust settles from this pandemic, one airline will emerge bigger and stronger. Do you know which one it will be? I bet you that it's Southwest Airlines. From its humble beginnings at Love Airfield in Dallas, Texas, till today, the company has made a profit every year of its 45 years of existence. Which one of the other airlines that are out there today can say that? The answer is none. They have never furloughed any people. That's consistency. How do they do it? As I said, by being consistent. When it finally decided to move outside of the state of Texas, there were over 100 cities that were clamoring for its services. How many did they expand to? 4. It took them 25 years to expand to the East Coast because they never overextended themselves, and they followed a plan that was designed by their leadership. Amundsen did the same thing. On December 12, 1911, he and his team were 45 miles away from their goals. He had no idea if Scott was ahead of him. His team urged him to push it and do a 24-hour march to reach their goal. He said no, and they marched 17 miles. They arrived on the 14th of December, keeping up with the goal of the plan. For the remainder of my time, I would like to look to see how Amundsen did against the great choice 7 markers and what it means for you and I. Clear performance markers. Of course, Amundsen's 15 miles a day in a relentless pursuit for his goal. But why 15 miles a day? It's a quarter of a degree every day. Every 4 days, you were 1 degree closer to your goal. It's highly measurable. For you and I, the goal is the minimum effort we are committed to making every day. Hard? Yes. Achievable? Yes. Want to write the next great American novel? How about writing 1,000 words a day? Hangover or not? Number 2, self-imposed constraints. Amundsen limited his marches to 5 to 6 hours a day. They spent 16 hours a day in their sleeping bag. He never exposed his team. They were ready every day, even though there were some days when they didn't feel great or didn't want to go out there, but they still went out there. Be flexible. What most historians do not mention when they're talking about Amundsen is that he actually started his first trek to the pole in September of 1911, a good month before his actual departure. It was too cold and his team members asked him to continue, but he knew that it was too cold and his team would freeze to death. So he returned to his base camp. For you and I, what does that mean? Who here on January 2nd has started a 2-hour exercise regimen? It is too far, too fast for you to start. You need to start something that's easier and lets you do it more consistently. Appropriate, number 3 is appropriate to the enterprise. What are you doing? Amundsen had only had one goal. It was to get to the South Pole and back and do it in style. His plan was original, daring, but totally within his capacity. Scott, on the other hand, measured his progress almost daily, and you can read it in his diary, against the previous expedition by Ernest Shackleton, and pushed his teams beyond the capability of the team. For you and I, the goals must be yours, not your parents, not your parent or your partner or anyone else's. They must be yours. Within your control is number 4, and number 3 and number 4 could be combined. Amundsen had his original plan, well, Scott copied his, and for you and I, do it your way. It's much sweeter when you get there if it's yours. Proper timeline, not too long, not too short, but plan with the end in mind. Amundsen estimated it would take 100 days to reach the pole and return. He arrived back at base camp on day 99. For you and I, your plan can't be too short nor too long. I presented a 5-year plan a couple of months ago about how to become a freelance instructional system designer. I'm already in trouble because the planning horizon is too long. I need to split the plan up into more sizable bites to chew. 9 to 12 months is best, or what some call the Goldilocks syndrome. Designed and self-imposed by the enterprise, number 6. Yes, the Amundsen's goals were very consistent, and for you and I, our goals and leadership must be consistent. I'm sure you heard about SMART goals. And lastly, number 7, achieved with high consistency. Amundsen in his diary wrote, traveled completely blind, nonetheless, we have done our daily 15 miles. As we'd already discussed, Scott was inconsistent. And for us, life is not a sprint, but a long, dogged, consistently tortoise race instead of the hare sprint and the snooze methodology. Leadership is hard work. It is about being there all the time, like Amundsen, who led from the front every day during the journey, or the Southwest Airlines team that didn't get distracted by new shiny objects. So, are you Amundsen or Scott? Unfortunately, in today's world, there are too many Scotts and not enough Amundsens. The choice is up to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Great speech, great speech. That's a question that all of us need to ponder. Which one are you, Amundsen or Scott? You know, it takes a lot of consistency, persistency, dedication, and commitment to survive certain obstacles or certain things that we want to accomplish in our lives. So that is a wonderful speech. Thank you, Hans. Thank you so much. Now, timer, can you set the clock to 1 minute, please? Again, this is your opportunity to send your evaluations directly to Hans by clicking on the chat and hover over his video.
One minute.
All righty, 1 minute has been called. Fingers off keyboards. And now we're going to shift into the timer's report, which will be provided to us by Lee Walker.
Okay, Melba, 11 minutes, 16 seconds. David, 7 minutes, 10 seconds. Hans, 15 minutes, 53 seconds. Madam Toastmaster.
Okay, thank you so much, Lee. So now this is your opportunity to weigh in your opinion. You've heard the numbers for the times. Now, what we would like for you to do is send to Andrew Bullock who you feel should be the person that should win this particular competition.
Send it to New Beginnings Toastmasters, not me directly.
Okay, send it to New Beginnings Toastmasters, not to Andrew directly. My apology.
And I do apologize. If I'm not mistaken, I think only David met his time. Is that correct, Mr. Lee Walker?
To vote.
So, because Hans went under, right?
Right, he was under. It was supposed to be 18 minutes minimum.
So David, you may have won by default, but you're not default in our hearts.
Okay, so you may have won by default. That's from Mr. Riggs himself. So what we're going to do is we're going to transition now to a break. The current time is 8:06 p.m. Eastern Time. We're going to take a 5-minute break and come back here at 8:11 p.m. See you all at 8:11. Be here, be there, or be square.
Hi.
Hi.
I hope everyone has their glass of wine.
No, I have my Diet Coke.
Oh, it's perfectly fine. So I know that we're all stuck indoors. Either we're working as healthcare professionals or if we're working in restaurants, serving takeout and so forth. So hopefully everyone is communicating with everyone, such as we are as a virtual family. So I'm the table topics master. My job is to call on folks to give an impromptu speech. And I have a variety of questions here with me. And so I'm just going to call on each individual person to speak from 1 to 2 minutes. If you guys can just pay attention to Lee Walker so they can give you the green light when you're finished, and if it's red, start wrapping up. And we're going to go ahead and get started. So I am going to start with Elizabeth Clare. Oh no, Elizabeth is not there.
Elizabeth? No. Okay, so we're going to start with Michael Doyle. So a lot of people have been posting on social media different recipes that they're coming up with. Some of them are doing the CHOP Challenge, which is a Food Network program that you just put 5 different recipes together. So if I gave you, Michael, 5 recipes, tuna, tomato, pineapple, and red wine, and the last one, eggs. So just starting off with the program, how would you pretty much start off and let us know what we can do with these 5 ingredients?
Well, I'll have to be honest and say that while I like cooking, and I consider myself as a fairly competent monkey when it comes to the kitchen, I can follow recipes and I usually don't burn things. I'd have to say that I'm not too good at creating stuff. So given those ingredients, I would probably go with some sort of tuna salad to begin with, something on bread. One of my hobbies was brewing beer, and so I enjoy now here, because I don't have the physical space, is brewing bread. So I think that a good tuna sandwich on a good sourdough bread with tomatoes would be a good start. Pineapples as a garnish with a glass of red wine. And eggs, well, eggs are also a favorite food of mine, and I'd probably have to do them scrambled with a lot of butter. So that's probably how I would go with something like that to get us off to the races.
Nice, good one, Michael. So the next one is, I'm not sure if everyone knows, but is TikTok, which is a pretty trending app where you pretty much will do like something crazy as like a dance, or you would copy a scene. So who here has TikTok? Raise your hand. Okay. So Joaquin Jackson, I'm sorry if I mispronounce your name, but what's your best TikTok, if you can describe it to us?
Me.
Or if you can come up with one, what would you come up with?
Me probably just reading the Declaration of Independence. I don't know. I don't know how to question.
Keep going.
I saw a TikTok where somebody was reacting to another person doing a dance. That was pretty funny. I'll probably do that. Ask Joe too. Joe has a lot of thoughts on this. I'm pretty sure. Seems to be making a lot of gestures. I'm not gonna demonstrate.
Okay. Well, you made it to the 1 minute, so good job. So yeah, there are crazy memes that are out there. I think the best one is of this little girl pretending that she likes what she's eating, which she's not. And one person wrote, your reaction when the woman that you married can't cook and you have to live with her. So that was the best one. So the next person will be Cleo. So I would like for you to finish this famous quote or one-liner. When the going gets tough, when the going gets tough.
That's a difficult one. When the going gets tough, hopefully we'll try to persevere during difficult times. For example, right now I'm at home. Thankfully, the city of Virginia Beach has allowed me to work from home, and I've been doing a lot of training, trying to persevere and come up with activities to work from home. I'm a teacher normally, a programmer, and I teach all kinds of technology classes. So right now I am learning the Python programming languages on Udemy and Coursera. So hopefully by the time we get back, hopefully I'll be able to write up some courses and demonstrate the knowledge that I've gained during this quarantine. And hopefully I can continue to persevere and and learn more things so that I can provide more programming to the citizens of Virginia Beach or anybody else who can come to my classes, because you don't have to be a resident of the city of Virginia Beach in order to sign up for any of my technology classes. And that's it. Thank you.
Great job, Cleo. Shameless advertising. So good for you. I would do the same thing. So next question will go to Joe Lopez. So once we're out of quarantine, which I hope is soon, there's going to be a whole bunch of games opening up. But let's say that you take a sick leave for a game and your boss just so happens to show up at the stadium. What would you do?
So you said I'm at a game? Like a live action
So
game?
you're at work and there's a game that's going on and you really want to take off, but your boss is not going to let you. So you just pretend that you're sick and you leave work, and at the stadium you find your boss. What's your game plan?
Honestly, just to maybe hide under the bleachers or something, like just so that my boss doesn't see me, or I don't know, maybe go to the bathroom for like 30 minutes and come back maybe for an hour or something, and just I don't know, just well, I mean, if he spots me, I guess I'm just gonna give him the old handshake, and just say what's up, and hopefully he doesn't fire me. But yeah, just that's a good question. Yeah, I'll just try to hide away as fast as possible from him and make sure he doesn't see me. That's my game plan.
All right. So good job. So that actually happened to me before I was 18, and I saw my boss where I wasn't supposed to be, and I pretended that I was sick. So what I did is I just wrapped my head with a scarf and no one knew that was me, with big sunglasses. So next person will be Joshua Puerto. Let's see. So this is actually a funny one. So your Facebook account gets hacked and the hacker offends your significant other. What are you going to do?
Well, fellow Toastmaster, table topic master, and guest, thank you. At the moment, I'm single, so there's nobody for them to hack. I'm single and happy right now, living life, closed up in my room because of this COVID-19. Hopefully, when this thing gets over, I can go back out and start looking for a pretty girl date, maybe. And Busch Gardens is going to be opening up so I can ride some new rides and live life the way that everybody knows me. I'm very outgoing. Facebook is just another thing that, if I have nothing to do, I'll look at it, but it's not something that I really care about. And if someone has my Facebook, I'll just make a new one, and I can follow the people who I really like, and people who I don't really care about, I won't follow them again, because then I probably know that one of them are the people who hacked me. Also, I want to tell everybody here tonight, be safe. COVID is something that is going around, and we don't know when it's going to end. But I hope that everybody perseveres and keeps safe in their house. And if they have to go out, please, take care of yourselves. Because I love each and every one of y'all, and everybody on Toastmasters is my family. I tell y'all that every day that I speak to y'all. So, Facebook to me is just another thing. And if it gets hacked, I don't care. Love is wonderful. And if the girl loves me, then she will treat me with respect, and she will look at me for who I am, and she will respect me. So I hope that everybody has a good day, and thank you for letting me have a chance to speak tonight.
Absolutely. Great job, Joshua. And I don't know if I can ask one more person. Okay. So Elizabeth Clare. Okay, so I would like to know what you'll do next after I gave you this scenario. You're driving and you took a wrong turn accidentally entering Mexico. What's your next thing?
I get back to the United States. So luckily, I used to be fluent in Spanish, so I'll ask for directions about how to go back. And if I have my passport with me, they'll let me back in. But if I don't, I might experience a Mexican jail, in which case I'll have to write to my congressman to say, please help me. I'm all stuck in a Mexican jail. ¿Qué voy a hacer? Por favor, yeah, ayúdame. Why did you have me do that? Oh my goodness. I know some people have taken a wrong turn and wound up in some pretty awful places. Although Mexico is not awful, so I hear. My sister used to go down there all the time, and she'd say, Elizabeth, why don't you come down to Mexico? It's so beautiful. And I was always afraid of the bandidos. So I never went. So there I am, stuck in Mexico, in a Mexican jail because I don't have a passport to get back in the country. And I'm waiting for my congressman to come to my rescue. Madam Table Topics.
Good job, Elizabeth. Actually, I gave you that question to see what you'll say. I actually was stuck in Mexico by accident, but it's because I missed my flight. It wasn't because I took the wrong turn. So it was very expensive. I do have to say that was about $2,400 mistake. So yay. Never miss your flight. And if the airport has to call your name, that's a bad sign. That means you're about to miss it. So go to point A to point B. Don't forget. All right. And I'm going to turn it back over to Tammy, our Toastmaster of the evening.
I am back. Thank you, Brenda. Thank you for that wonderful list of questions. I was thinking about a couple of them, wondering what would I say in the midst of all of this. So great job, everyone. So now what I would like to do is I would like the timers report for the table topics.
Okay. Michael, 1 minute, 2 seconds. JJ, 1 minute, 10 seconds. Cleo, 1 minute, 15 seconds. Joe, 42 seconds. Joshua, 1 minute, 42 seconds. Elizabeth, 1 minute, 16 seconds. So all speakers qualify except for Joe. Madam
Okay.
Sir.
Okay, so this is your time to vote. Put your vote in for who you feel is the winner for table topics and send it to New Beginnings at Toastmasters. Is that correct, Andrew?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay, so send your who you're voting for to New Beginnings at Toastmasters. And now what we're going to go is we're shifting to the last portion of this, which is the evaluators. Starting off with evaluator number 1 is Mr. Robert Riggs.
I can unmute myself now. Yay! Well, everybody, I have learned the hard way to never underestimate Melba Puerto. She, sometimes you can be frustrating because, you get tired and don't want to come to a meeting, but sometimes you show up and you produce a result like that. And honestly, I really enjoyed it. Aunt Melba, you are full of surprises, and most of them are good, and this is a good example of that. This was your 4th speech, and it was a bit of a challenge because it took you out of your comfort zone. Research and presenting is never easy. Research presenting is something that usually only comes easy to people who are kind of nerdy by nature. So I like it, Elizabeth likes it, a few other people I know like it, David likes it, he's definitely a nerd, but you are not a natural nerd. So I can say wholeheartedly, you kind of had to get out of your comfort zone, and you did well. Well, here's some good stuff that you did well. First thing is you provided lots of interesting information with references. That's something you're supposed to do during this speech. In the beginning of your L1 experience with icebreakers and evaluation feedback, it's all about organizing your speech and that kind of thing. You did that as a foundation, and you moved on to the hard stuff, which was give us that with information with references. Get to the point and use those building points there with other, like things like Wikipedia. You cited Wikipedia piece once. There are some other references that you discussed that were, I would say, unique to bicycling at large. The most difficult thing that I've noticed about these kinds of speeches is not whether or not it's organized, but whether or not you can make it organized and still make it fun. That, unfortunately, can be the challenge with these kinds of things. So I did want to say there was a couple things that I wanted you to hit on. Number one, maybe try to know your info a little bit more. I felt like you did your research, but the info, it didn't feel like it was coming out of you naturally. It seemed like some of it was a little bit like, hey, I researched this, it was interesting, but I have to like read it from my report. It felt a little bit like a book report. So one thing I've noticed about teachers is they know the material so well that it's in their soul. It just oozes out of them. So I wanted to hear a little bit of teacher Melba. And another thing is I would have liked to hear the speech organized with the story as a surrounding point. I would have wanted to hear the story at the opening and bring us in and engage us, and then use that throughout the story as humor, as to kind of like build in the do's and the don'ts and the research and interesting information, and then wrap it all up with something funny at the end, especially with the reference of Bicycle Ballerina. So my one last challenge, from overall wonderful job, and my concluding challenge for you is, this is going to be a hard one because it's out of your comfort zone, but try to make facts fun. If you can make facts fun, I have no doubt in my mind that you will continue to go to that next big level. L2 is going to be even more challenging because it's all about leadership and communication and stuff like that. So stuff that you probably have never really thought about until now. So best of luck. I can't wait to hear your next one. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you so much, Mr. Robert Riggs. Next, we will have evaluator number 2, Mr. Andrew Bullock, who will be evaluating our speaker number 2, Mr. David Anthony Marshall.
So Toastmasters and guests, and especially David. David, this is my, 3rd time evaluating you. You never cease to amaze me. You immediately brought everyone into your topic by singing. And I could see from the video that everybody was engaged. Even Donna was dancing around as you sang. Now, the objective of your speech was, I'll just read it right here. Purpose of this project is for members to clearly define how Toastmasters envisions mentoring, and for the member to share some aspect of a previous experience as a protege. You did that very well. And following the objectives is one of the most essential parts of giving a speech. Beyond that, your presentation, how you deliver the speech, is also equally important. We could hear you clearly. We could see your gestures, even your facial expressions, and they carried the story along as you went, which is exactly what we're looking for when someone speaks. You also had excellent structure in your speech. You had a good opening. You stayed on topic throughout the body of your speech. You wrapped it up neatly in a conclusion. And your vocal imagery was excellent. You were able to paint pictures in our minds with your words. And that is very important as a speaker. One thing I would like you to work on is the noise control in your environment. So we could hear Jackson carrying on in the back, and there was even a few comments on it as you were speaking. So if you can do something to control your environment while we're in this virtual meeting setting, please take the precautions as you can so that nothing can take away from your presentation. And to challenge yourself, the only challenge I have for you is to get your evaluator's name correct on your evaluation form. Last I checked, my name was Andrew Bullock, not Tammy Adama. But that is my only caution, and I look forward to hearing more of your speeches, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you so much, Andrew. Last but not least is evaluator number 3, José Jean-Paul, who's going to be evaluating Hans-Peter Johedli in his speech. José Jean-Paul.
Okay. The host has muted me. So thank you, Madam Toastmaster. And for tonight's project is Hans U. Hidley. Your project is Leadership in Extreme Circumstance. Are you a Mudson or a Scott? This was a powerful speech. I really enjoyed it. One thing I noticed about Hans U. Hidley was he really came prepared for this speech. Although he wasn't able to show his project, I believe that if he did have that background with him or whatever he was trying to show for illustration, it would have captivated us even more and showed exactly what he was trying to translate with the difference between the dynamics between Scott and Mudson. He did an amazing job with the story as well, just giving great examples about how Mudson would be meticulous and was constantly planning, and he showed a clear difference of how Scott didn't and how he perished. I enjoyed your vocal variety. You were very well spoken. I was able to hear you. And although some people might have problems with the microphone and it might be phasing in and out, yours did not. So then you were able to get your point across more likely. One thing that I did see from Hanji Hidley was, although the speech was amazing and your project was well put together, having your eyes away from this monitor, but instead try either looking towards the light or kind of away, so then we actually see you looking more into the screen. Although this is new for all of us as well, I think that this is something that might actually help us out in the long run, which is not looking at our project, although it is conveniently there. Just practice how you play. Again, if you want to look at the audience and not at the ground. I believe that you did. That was my only challenge for you, as well as one thing I did like as well was the your intro. Actually, here's another challenge for you. Your intro. Have yourself introduced before you walk into your speech, and that means like having some sort of getting the crowd warmed up before the speech even starts, so they're already prepared for you. So then just find a way to make your intro a little more entertaining, and that might help us out in the long run. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you so much, Jose. Now, what we would like to do is have our timers report. Lee?
Okay, evaluations, Robert, 3 minutes, 22 seconds. Andrew, 2 minutes, 41 seconds. JP, 2 minutes, 33 seconds. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you so much, Lee. Now what we're going to do is, this is the time that you're having the opportunity to vote. Place your votes in for who you believe should be the evaluator, excuse me. Send your responses to New Beginnings at Toastmasters. And now while you're doing that, I would like to turn it back to our general evaluator and who also provide role reports.
Okay. So congratulations to all the speakers and the evaluators. The evaluators did a great job of following the sandwich technique, meaning to give positive feedback with something to challenge the speaker, and also to wind up with more positive feedback. We started the meeting on time. We had a little bit of technical difficulties with some feedback, but that's expected. It wasn't too bad. JP acknowledged guests and introduced them to us, which was very good. David gave us a great pathways introduction, so thank you, David. Donna was an excellent Toastmaster and kept us on track. Thank you very much. So one thing I did notice is on Zoom, it's a little different than being in person. So I'm watching everybody in the gallery as people are speaking, and there's a lot going on, and it's very distracting. So what I suggest is that we give the speakers our full attention like we would if we were there in person. So they deserve that. We want to listen to them and hear what they have to say. And so we can give them good feedback, and we would want them to do the same for us. All in all, the meeting went very well, and I thank you all. Madam Toastmaster.
We should have roll reports.
Oh. Roll reports. So, oh yes. So our grammarian, Joshua, and is also our counter. Can you give us a report, please?
Well, thank you for having me as your counter and your grammarian tonight. I believe everybody spoke very well. I didn't hear anything that sounded bad out of anybody. We carried our meeting very respectful. Yes, I know there's a lot of moving and stuff. I'm sick a little bit, so I had to go to the bathroom and cough and all that. Tonight, the was me. I had a couple of them. I had 3 myself. JP, he had 3. He had 1 Andrew had 2 Lee had 2 And that's all I got from the meeting. Nobody really said too much and I believe we're really becoming bigger in this group with and We're learning how to stop and fill in words before we say anything else. So I believe that this group is really helping us, and I hope that we can keep on learning from each other what we have to learn in this group tonight.
Great. Thank you, Joshua. So Cleo is our word master. Listen up, Cleo. You're still muted.
Should I do the questions at the end?
Well, I think we are.
Give your report first,
Like,
and then you can go ahead and
okay.
do your listener
All
questions.
right. I have 2 perseveres during my table topics, and Joshua Puerto said persevere once. I don't know if anybody else said it. I know I said it a couple times during the chat, and also Robert Riggs said it he was being funny, but he said it during the chat as well. How much time do I have for the questions, or how many questions should I do?
As much as you want.
Okay, I'm also going to put the questions in the chat as well. All right, the first question is, in what country was the first city-to-city bicycling race?
France.
In what country was the first city-to-city bicycling race?
Chicago.
New York.
England.
New York.
That's correct. France.
Yay!
Question 2. In Melba's speech, she provided a list of do's and don'ts for cycling. What is the first do for cycling? The
Wear a
first
helmet
do.
at all
Wear a
times.
helmet.
Exactly. All right, this is a 2-part question. During David Marshall's speech, During David Marshall's speech, he sang a song to start his speech. Can you tell me the name of the song and also the group?
Robert, you were singing it.
I was singing along.
Can anyone tell me the name of the song and the group?
It's in my YouTube history. It's in my YouTube history. I have it.
Was it
No.
was it Discovery Channel by the Bloodhound Gang?
No, Love Theory.
Ram Ranch.
Was it Disney
It's called
Channel?
Ram Ranch.
All right, I'm gonna give you the answer. Hold on.
Was
Look
it
up
Disney
Ram Ranch.
Channel?
Look up Ram Ranch. Play it. That's the song.
All right, the song is "Tell Me" and the group is Group Theory.
I was close.
Oh, I
Wait,
thought it
David,
was
could you
Ram
sing it one more time for me?
No.
All
There'll be
right,
none of that.
all right. Another question.
Only get one.
In Han's speech, he mentioned that there was a geographical congress. In which city did this geographical congress take place?
New York?
No.
I'm
I
gonna
don't
say
think
El
so.
Paso, Texas.
Niger, Africa.
London.
Nice.
Niger is a country, it's not a city.
No, London. London.
London.
Oh.
It was London.
There's a lot of
I got it first.
stores in London.
All right, one last. Well, I have 3 more questions, but I don't want to take. I mean, that's a lot of questions already.
Go ahead.
So,
Just add it,
okay. True or false? This is related to the South Pole mission. True
False.
or false? Amundsen limited his marches to 2 hours per day.
False.
True or false?
False.
There are more than 2 hours.
Hey, I said it first.
5 to 6 hours.
Does anybody remember
You just
how
said
many
it first.
hours?
I heard it.
5
It
to
was
6.
like 6 hours a day.
Yeah, I heard Hans.
I think me and
say 5
Joe
to
got
6
the
just
answers
now.
correct, like halfway. Like I got 3 right, he got 3 right. So like, we should split this prize.
All right.
No, I think it was 3-2. Me.
All right.
JJ, we can settle this, man.
2 more questions left. 2 more questions left.
Ooh,
What kind of sandwich will Michael Doyle make given the ingredients that Brenda shared during her table topics question?
Wait, give me
Tuna
2 minutes.
salad.
Give me 2 minutes to look it up.
Tuna.
Tuna salad.
Egg salad. Egg salad.
Tuna salad. Tuna salad.
Correct. Tuna salad. Correct. Last question.
I got that first.
I'm gonna say the name wrong. What document did Jaquavion Jackson say he'd read during his TikTok?
Declaration of Independence. Declaration of
Y'all doing a great job. Excellent.
I could not miss that one.
Declaration of
Yes,
Independence.
the Declaration of Independence.
Damn. It's like we're friends, dude. It's
Thank
like we're
you.
friends.
Have a
I
good
know.
night. I'm
Thank
going
you.
JJ, could
What's your
you?
snap, Joe? What's your snap? Drop your snap.
I'll tell you in the
The
chat. Wait,
chat.
JJ, could you like read us the Declaration of Independence?
Yeah, I got you. It's right here.
No, don't do that. Don't do that.
Please mute it.
All right.
Lee, can you give us our timer report, please?
He already gave us our time reports.
We don't need another one.
I'm finished timer reports.
Well, I didn't know if we needed a general one. Topics master. Do we need a report from her? No.
No, we don't.
Okay.
That concludes our roll reports.
You are Toastmaster of the evening. Thank you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you. No final remarks? If there are none, then we will adjourn this meeting for today. Everyone be safe.
Hold up. We're going to have to turn it over to the president.
Okay, let's turn it over to the president.
JP, you're on.
Yeah. Andrew, can you message me the results for the winner for best evaluation, as well as table topic master? So then,
Good. Do you really want me to?
So all in all, this is my first complete webinar. Being with you guys, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I hope you guys did too. So then, as well, I saw a couple stragglers hop on. So then, just so we're well acquainted, I saw Michael Doyle. You showed up. He's the Area 51 director. So then, that's another guest that showed up. In case anybody was wondering who he was. Really amazing guy. He's been here a couple of times before, but it's always nice seeing you around as well. For the projects though, so then going through pathways is very important. So then when someone makes these type of strides, as well as amazing to recognize these people and their perseverance. And with that being said, I'd like to congratulate David for finishing his L2 and Melba for completing hers as well. Tammy, you did an amazing job for your first time as the general evaluator, and Donna, you did amazing as the Toastmaster of the evening, and still waiting on. Okay. So then, although we don't have a drum roll, here's what we can do. I'll just announce it for the best speaker of the night. Not by default, by amazingness, it was David Marshall. For best table topics, hold the applause till end. No, there's nothing. It was Elizabeth Clare. And for best evaluator, it was Andrew Bullock. All right. So a couple stuff I noticed before. I believe Donna actually did an amazing job hitting it before, which was if we can try to or Donna and Tammy, both of y'all actually hit something that I was realizing was when a speaker's speaking, please try to avoid the chat as much as possible and give them your undivided attention. And as well as if you do have something to say to someone, please use the chat during those 1 minute breaks to actually congratulate them. So we're not just flooding the meeting with just random noise coming from left and right. So then if someone does have something important to say, they can get it across without being interrupted. So then that's a big thing I kind of noticed, and I want us to like probably challenge ourselves to progress towards working towards that, so it doesn't happen again, and the meeting goes a lot smoother. Again, I love the energy, especially from those new guys, Joe and JJ. They were really energized throughout the entire meeting. That's crazy. But I believe I'll turn it over to David. Do you have anything you want to put out for?
No, JP, I don't have anything to put out. I just want to thank everyone for coming on board. I think everyone did a fantastic job. This was a fun meeting, and I look forward to next week's meeting.
Okay. From Robert Riggs, do you have anything to put out?
So I have nothing in particular that pertains to dues or membership at this time. I would like to say that we have a meeting next week, so if anybody is interested in speaking, I know Jaquavon, you said you were interested, so feel free to give me a call. I think I sent you my number. If not, it's 703-999-4888, and we can get you all set up and do the icebreaker next week. But there's others, so if you want to do anything else for the meeting next week, even if your name's Michael Doyle, and Michael Doyle, I believe, is in our website. So if he wanted to do a thing next week, and he, I'm guessing, is it one ADP actually meeting, Mike?
And right now, with everything going on, we're on strict bandwidth constriction right now, so we can't even do video as much as we'd like. Yeah.
Oh wow. So well, we can be your backup club in the meantime. So
yeah. No worries. No worries. Thank you.
So if anybody's interested, or if anybody wants to invite any guests, we always need people. So please, by all means, feel free to look. Contact David if you're interested in participating in the meeting next week, or just look on the website. And that's all I have to say, Mr. President.
Okay. Anything from you, Andrew?
I'll reiterate what I said at the beginning of the meeting. For the issue of security, on the night before the beginning of the meeting, I will email out the new code to enter our club. It'll come with a password to join the meeting room, and this is to keep unnecessary riffraff out and keep our members secure.
Okay. So then that is really important. Thanks again, Andrew, for putting that out as well. Again, this is new for us as well, and the chat, I've noticed, has been a big game changer for us. Like, just able to get our discussion out on the side quietly and respectfully, message other people. So then, like, I like the addition of the chat in the share screen, and being able to like pause your face, so then you can do what you have to do and come back. Except for Andrew Bullock, who has his pointed at a fan for some reason. But besides the point, if there's nothing else, for anybody that's trying to reach me, I believe my number's on the website, and then I'll be glad to answer any text messages. But I believe this concludes our meeting. So then everybody have a safe night, and try to keep yourself active, find some sort of hobby. And I believe for my book club, we're currently reading Fierce Conversations. If you have nothing else to do, that's a book I'd advise most of us checking out. And that'd be it for me. So have a good one.